In the second half of the 20th century, humanity began to seriously think about ecology and environmental preservation. The population of Great Britain was pushed to take measures to protect nature by a killer fog. For several months, this ecological disaster caused the death of around 12,000 people, the Great Smog. On December 5, 1952, London was enveloped in dense fog. At first, no one paid much attention to it, as such weather conditions were common in the city. However, by the evening, the fog began to thicken, and people started complaining about breathing difficulties. The situation did not improve the following day. Despite optimistic weather forecasts that the fog would soon dissipate, the problems only worsened. Visibility on the road significantly deteriorated. People on the streets were disoriented and often needed help from the police just to get home. The police guided residents along the path with lanterns. City transport halted over 3 days. Drivers abandoned their cars in the middle of the roads. London experienced an infrastructure collapse, and the only functioning public transport was the Underground. Air flights changed routes, isolating the city. Additionally, due to poor visibility, people were transported to hospitals much more slowly. All public events were cancelled in the city, as the toxic fog seeped into the smallest gaps. There was no chance of escaping it even behind closed doors. The disaster only benefited the local thieves. London's street crime rate rose significantly. In addition to robberies, several attempted murders and even kidnappings of children were recorded. More and more people were seeking medical help due to the toxic smog, which had a distinctive sulfuric smell. Respiratory diseases and irritation of mucous membranes were common. The fog lifted only on December 9th. During its time over London, it killed 4,000 people. Another 150,000 people ended up in hospitals. However, the city's residents faced inevitable health consequences. Deaths caused by the smog continued to be recorded for several months afterward. Approximately 12,000 people in London died from diseases like bronchopneumonia and purulent bronchitis due to the poisoned fog. The causes of the toxic fog in the streets of London were quite simple. During the cold season, the residents of London heated their homes with coal. November 1952 was very cold, increasing coal usage. More diesel vehicles appeared, then an anticyclone settled over the capital. As a result, combustion products became trapped in the cold air and could not rise high into the atmosphere. Instead, a poisonous mist of coal smoke and exhaust fumes settled on the streets of London and slowly killed people. After this ecological disaster, the British government promised to do everything possible to prevent a repeat of the tragedy. People were urged to change their attitude toward the environment and switch to smokeless fuel. In 1956, the Clean Air Act was passed at the legislative level. 2 years earlier, a similar law was adopted in London itself. However, the Great Smog was not the last case of serious street pollution. The situation repeated itself 10 years later. Despite the fact that this time the scale of the disaster was much smaller, there were deaths. The 1962 smog took 750 lives. After this second incident, the Clean Air Act was improved. The Great Smog marked the beginning of the modern environmental movement. After the tragic events, people began to think more often about how important it is to care for the environment, as their lives depend on it. The legislative restrictions introduced helped to clear the air in the city, and since then, the toxic fog has never again appeared on the streets of London.